Good morning guys, welcome to today's video. This is the fourth day. We're out here in St. Louis. It's cold. We're about to do our fourth day of demos. I chose not to film the past 2 days and just kind of enjoy the experience because I knew it would get repetitive, but I paid attention to comments and I saw that you guys want a little bit of a deeper dive on the whole demo program in terms of the cars, what it takes to run, operate them, how many people we give rides to, all the little nitty-gritty details. So
we're gonna make that happen today.
all right, love to hear it.
All right, let's do it.
It's been fun, man.
Yeah, I've had a blast with you, dude. I can't say it enough, and like, I'm not just blowing your head up, but I'm like, after testing, I was excited, but after playing in this little box with you, I am so pumped for you and FD and just everything we got going on. So.
Well, I appreciate it. I guess the only thing they missed was I did my first little crash damage.
Little crash damage.
That was in that live video though. If you guys saw that, I took out a wheel and maybe like I think two arms or something.
Turnbuckle, yeah. On the upper arm.
Is that a knuckle? I've never heard of the turnbuckle.
Well, it's a turnbuckle because the way it works, but it's basically the upper arm that controls camber and such. So
we don't use that word on the import stuff. That and then I caught the car on fire, but other than that, nothing really exciting happened.
Just the tires, not the car, because you did a third gear standing burnout at like 120 mile an hour wheel speed.
Hey, it was sick.
It was sick.
We made some cool photos.
It was sick.
So we're lucky enough to stay pretty close here, so we're just walking over to the convention center, gonna get all situated, and then walk around the cars before we go out for our first demo. And I will film a couple of clips too. I have some GoPro ideas that'll probably look pretty cool. All right, so here's a little look of the auto show. It's mostly just manufacturers displaying new cars so people can check them out, test drive them. Nothing too crazy, but a lot of people come out to this thing. All right, so we're walking up to the Fun Haver activation setup. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so this is a Fun Haver tour. This goes to like all of the demo events we do, right? Automotive festivals, the Grid Lights, the Hyperfest, things like that. And so it's basically like a chill lounge area. So we've got little lounge, phone charging area, and then some partner products on display, right? We've got our Pennzoil display, RTR wheel display, Forza Horizon that people can put a lap in, and whoever has the fastest lap at the end of the day gets a swag bag. And we're also have a spin to win for people to do, you know, basically we collect some data and, you know, people get, you know, win a ride or win some other giveaways from our partners. So it's an activation, like integration area, just kind of lounge. We got some good music vibe going on and obviously merch. So this is where, you know, we do our autograph sessions and just people come and hang out.
Another cold one. Interestingly enough, these cars don't run race gas, they just run on E85. Literally and not literally.
I can see my vinyls even got like some bubblies going on.
It was a little scary because it was while we were doing the like tandem donuts, so I could see it happening.
Oh my gosh,
it was kind of cool though. Probably got a cool shot.
You started it and then I had to do it, of course.
Yep. You know? These nittos are just that hot.
They hot, boy.
All right, we're here with the two demo cars and Vaughn. And Vaughn, the first question that I have for you, the most common question that I get all the time, both about my own cars and these cars, is why don't we run the actual FD cars? Is it price? Are they too much power? What is it? Tell us. Enlighten us.
The FD cars, like, they're built for kill mode, and they're extremely expensive to run. The motor's got to be rebuilt at the end of every year. The dog box had to be looked at every couple days. The clutches, I mean, they just take so much abuse. So we have the demo cars that are slightly toned down and can handle the abuse with way less maintenance and way less expense, which makes it affordable to do demos and fun events with them. So that's basically the gist.
For me, on my end, the reason why I didn't run the S15 and a lot of stuff in between rounds, usually we were short-staffed in the sense that we were just busy working on the car or prepping it for an event. And in addition to that, I didn't like driving it personally because it required more people to operate it. The lower, less gnarly cars on my end like required maybe 1 or 2 people to oversee it, where the FD car like constantly need to bolt check things, look over things, and needs more fuel because it doesn't have the big of fuel tank, and it just
on and on and on.
Yep.
And it gets expensive, heavy on the team, and so this has been working very well. I've been running a separate demo program for over 10 years now, and these two cars are actually very different. They've evolved.
Sure. What's cool about it though is you've been able to pull it off to where they look identical as the FD car, so you don't lose any sort of marketing or any sort of photo opportunity.
Yeah, and that's the goal, right? To keep our liveries branded with us and bring our partners along for the exhibitions. And also, you know, people that get in the car and go for a ride, most people don't know the difference between this car running 750 horsepower and our FD cars running 1400 with a ton more grip, because they still fly, they still are a lot of fun. It's just the only thing that we notice is the pocketbook and the time to keep them all running.
And frankly, correct me if I'm wrong, Bon, but if we went and we put the same exact tire setup that we have on this car right now, and the same exact alignment spec in the FD car, it wouldn't be any faster. Maybe marginally.
Yeah, no.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
it wouldn't.
The extra power would make 0 difference on the experience. The car would feel identical
exactly
to this.
The same. Yep.
And the fact that we can go down as low as what? We were running like 10 pounds the other day in
Yep.
this, shows that like we've achieved the perfect power to grip ratio, because you can pretty much get the max out of the tire that we're running with this power setup.
Yep.
So there's no reason for more power.
Exactly. And we run these cars a little freer than the FD cars because it's just easier on the drivetrain.
Yep.
You know, they both run drive shaft shop axles to handle our clutch kicks and the aggressive handbrake things that we do. But beyond that,
Let's dive into the specs.
Let's do it. So this car is actually our first S550 chassis build. We debuted it at SEMA as a gray Spec 5, so maybe you want to put a photo of that. And then it evolved in my demo car. So this car has been something I've been driving since 2015. SEMA debuts, like I said, end of 2014. I drove the Nürburgring in this car. It's been, you know, all over Europe, and now it was Chelsea's car, and now you're driving it this weekend, obviously. So this is a Ford Performance Illuminator. This is a crate motor, basically from Ford Performance. Basically, this is what JTP runs in his FD car as well. Super reliable motor. We've never failed one, except for I did a jump and blew the oil filter off, and you know what happens when that happens. Anyway, so this car has 2 settings, actually. I haven't shown you this, but there's a valve down here that you turn, and it does 950 wheel horsepower, and right now it's running the 750 wheel horsepower. So it's got a Vortex supercharger. We do this over the roots blower like you would get on one of our production RTRs because of the heat. These blowers don't generate as much heat as the roots blowers. For a street car, the roots blowers are great, but for the abuse we're putting on here, we find we really like the centrifugals.
Can I back you up 1 second? So me being someone that doesn't understand Mustangs, I know I asked you this before. The 5.0 Coyote motor, that's what comes in the standard Mustangs.
Yep.
This Illuminator, if it had no forced induction, was NA, is the compression the same as the 5.0s that come in the Mustangs?
This one is, yeah. You can get like a 9.5-to-1 for high-powered blower motors, but this one, we run the 11-to-1.
So then in theory...
Don't quote me, it's 10-to-1 or 11-to-1.
So then in theory, apart from the durability, if someone put the same accessories on this engine versus the other engine, same fuel, same tune, there would be no power gain.
Correct.
So this is a durability choice, but if someone put the same exact package on their street car, they would have the same exact experience as us, just it might not take, say, 30 laps of constant abuse, which by the way is one of the craziest things. Drift cars normally need cooldowns and a lot of time, but the way and how hot we run these demos, it is mind-blowing how well these cars can take it.
They're very well sorted. Yeah, this, I should have said that. This is a Coyote. It just has forged internals, all proper internals versus the production car. So at 750 horsepower, this motor like you could do this with a production motor, but when you get to that 950 setting, that's when you really need this. The production Coyotes are amazing, and you know, you can beat them up pretty good. But we're just doing excessive stuff with these motors, so that's why we do it kind of as a safety. But as far as like handling the power, you could handle 750 horsepower with the production car. I mean, that's what our Spec 5s and Spec 3 production RTRs come with. Yeah, so I was saying the centrifugal versus the roots. Obviously, you know, we got a little larger radiator. There's a Ford Performance radiator that's a bolt-in. You can see this car has all the production structures. You know, this is basically very much a production Mustang unibody, whereas with the other car I'll show you is some very big differences. But you know, we've got the intercooler in the front, larger radiator, slightly larger fan than production, and that's basically it on the front. This has the Funhaver steering angle kit. So this is the electric rack Funhaver steering angle kit that you know, you're really the third person to feel it aside from the guys in Saudi.
And it's sick. It is the most fun I've ever had driving an S550. And I've now driven your old demo car, yep. I've driven the FD car, and I drove the Pennzoil car way back at the demo.
Yep.
Best feeling one yet.
Yeah, it's totally changed it. That's basically myself, Chelsea, and then our engineer Clay developed this based on everything that we've learned in FD, and create a kit that's bolt-on friendly. You don't have to change the knuckles. Really good kit, and it'll be out very shortly, like within a couple weeks. So moving on the interior, right? Straight business. You can see I've got Goodwood stickers in there, so I've run this up the Goodwood Hill. You can see the Nürburgring, and basically, you know, just all business. So we built this car. This is actually one of the last cars that I actually helped build myself, because I've just focused my time on other things now. But we built this at MA Motorsports in Maryland, like I said, to debut for SEMA. So the transmission is a T56 Magnum, Ford Performance, you know, right out of the book at Ford Performance, and then obviously a cage, FD spec cage.
One other thing that's kind of interesting to note as well is how quickly and efficiently you guys rewrap cars to be able to use the same cars and different stuff. This was the same exact car that Chelsea was driving at my event.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's crazy. And now it looks like my test car.
Yeah, we do all the vinyl in-house, and so this car will, you know, Chelsea will have a new livery next year, so Chelsea will keep this, and then we're going to be evolving. You know, you'll be getting a demo car.
It needs to sound like this one though.
It will. They'll all sound the same. That's the thing, right? We keep everything the same because that way we don't need a bunch of different spare parts.
Makes sense.
Right? Everything is shared for these exhibitions so that we can, you know, do it efficiently. And so, so moving on to the back, right? You obviously see Optima red top back there, a fuel safe fuel cell. We run X85 from VP in this, so it's a ethanol-based fuel, which also helps keep it cool. The subframe in this car is a bone stock subframe. We got BC coilovers. It's got a drive shaft shop, a 9-inch conversion in it. So it's drive shaft shop, 9-inch. Obviously the big boy axles. And other than that, it's even, let's see, yeah, this car still has the coilovers, the coils in the bucket versus where our race cars have coilovers. So this is a very early build. This is before we really knew, you know, how to make an S550, what we make them now. And you can also see the biggest difference is this is all factory unibody. We didn't cut anything out of this. So when this car gets into a wall, it sucks. And it has not been in one yet where that's hit. So now, moving over to my demo car, this is a Formula Drift chassis. So when we built this demo car, the mindset was that if I ever got in a shunt in FD, I could take my demo car apart and just move all the drivetrain and subframes from the FD car, and this car can go right to FD, so we don't miss anything. So you can see, starting in the rear, everything is a little bit different here, right? You still have fuel safe fuel cell, but it's in a different position. We also have our crash structures here that, you know, you get into this bash bar, and these are just very easily replaceable. So it's super dirty because we were running in the rain the other day. But you can see, like, this is exactly what our FD car looks like. Subframe is exactly the same as this car, other than, yeah, we still have the coils on the buckets in this car too. So you can see the BCs there, but there's no spring on them, whereas the FD car is a true coilover. So we don't have our billet arms on these cars. These are all production. rear subframes with the drive shaft shop axles and 9-inch in it. So now moving on to the interior, exact same everything in here as the FD car. You can see the firewall in the rear, and then this is where the Optima lives, right back behind here. Moving up to the front, you can see, right, radiator, fan, all that's the same. Motor's the same. Little bit different routing of air filter and piping. Just was a little more efficient when we built this car, and also around our crash structure. So the FD car has this crash structure in the front, and then this other crash structure right here where the radiator is. FD cars have the radiators in the back, but for this car, obviously it's in the front. And these crash structures allow us, if we get in a shunt in the front, to just pull this off and put a whole new clip on.
So I'm curious to kind of hear your take on this. A lot of people, I feel like, kind of jump the gun with going rear radiator before putting like proper effort into making a front radiator work. I prefer a front radiator in most cars for numerous reasons, but I'm curious to hear your logic outside of FD. Would you prefer front radiator or rear radiator, and what are the pros and cons in your mind?
Yeah, I think outside of FD, front radiator, it's just way easier. And like normally when you're, most people that are building a car are trying to look at the most efficient ways to do it. So I'm front radiator. First of all, when you're driving around with a rear radiator, you're not getting any better cooling. You're relying all on fan. So like when you're at fun events and you want a hot lap, you can just go drive around the front mount radiator and help cool your car. The only benefits to a rear mount radiator is weight distribution. So maximum performance, right? Putting the weight exactly where you want it, and also crash, right? This radiator in the front, you see a lot of shunts, you see my car, the whole front end ripped off, and then I go right back out. That's because there's nothing in the front to get hurt. So.
And I've experienced that with my E36, where I've toasted a radiator from hitting someone, where if it was in the rear, it wouldn't be an issue. But in that car, I prefer to not have the radiator in the rear, because I really like the light rear end on that car. And sometimes I feel like on the cars with the rear radiator, I feel almost a little bit more of like a pendulum effect with a little bit more weight in the rear, to where the car will kind of want to keep rotating more. Where like I notice these cars in comparison to the FD car, obviously there's lots of other changes, they feel much more like, say, a stock S chassis where you throw it and the rear end kind of catches rather than wanting to keep go.
Right. Yeah, it's, but like the FD cars, they have so much traction in the rear that, we use that to our advantage.
Yeah.
Right. And it's all set up, is basically what it comes down to. So for fun cars and like earlier level competitions, there's no reason not to have a front mount. And save your resources from all the fabrication in the back, and
it gets expensive.
It does.
It adds up.
I mean, the lines and just everything, and
lines, pump, fabrication.
Yep. Also, so both cars have long tube headers straight into a 2-into-1 exhaust. So MBRP made us custom exhaust for these cars, 2-into-1, which sounds amazing on Coyote. So there's no X pipe. Basically comes from the headers, boom, right into one, and then out the back. And that's why they just sound so crisp. And
there's no production model of that?
There's not a production model of this, just because of how loud it is. I know some people will buy it. Get rowdy.
I mean, I'll put some resources into bringing it to market, because I was already telling Vaughn, I was like, yo, dude, I will sell the Celsior in a heartbeat. If I can have one of these as a daily, they sound so sick. Every time we get in the car, I just rev it, just because I want to hear it. Yeah. I'm pulling up to the line, ring, ring, ring. It's sick.
Yeah.
Especially so why does the supercharger, like the big whoosh, is that the blow-off valve?
Yeah, there's a blow-off valve.
What is it? Because it sounds like a freaking train horn. That little thing makes all that whoosh noise.
Yep, it just pushes right out. This is one of Vortex blow-off valves.
Got it.
Yep, so it's called a max flow, and it just opened right to the air, and it does. This thing blows a ton. I love the way these superchargers sound. Like, I'm a big Mad Max fan, like from back in the day. That was before your time. You know Mad Max, the movie?
I know of it. Okay. I don't watch movies.
You should watch it. It's so good. Whatever, you just told me you watched Spider-Man the other day.
Yeah, that's a new movie.
Okay.
And
you need to go.
Spider-Man's like the
go
best
watch
movie.
Mad Max, because it's so good. The original Mad Max, where he's got the clutch. It's a clutch engaged supercharger. It's rad. Anyway, it sounds mean. They whistle and they go whoosh, and that's that. So that's basically it. You can see I was wrong. We have the Optima on the front of this in the production location of this car because we're not so concerned about weight distribution, right? It's just all about efficiency. Like for this car, if it was behind the firewall, we have to take the firewall to get to the battery. So here, if we had an issue, we can just get right to it. These also, I think it's also worth mentioning, these run the factory PCM. So these motors, you basically buy this motor from Ford Performance, you buy the control pack, which comes with all the wiring, and the control pack has the computer, and you literally hook up power, ground, and the starter relay, and it fires right up.
On the battery discussion, that's another thing that like I'm a firm proponent of keeping the battery underneath a hood versus putting it in the rear. Again, a lot of people like to do it to clean up an engine bay or clear space. I personally like having the battery up front. So if you're working on something and you need to unhook the battery quickly to diagnose something, or if you have a power probe, you can connect to it easily instead of having to go to the back of the car, unplug it, whatever, or even putting it in a jump pack, whatever you're doing, like all day I prefer to have the battery under the hood.
It's easier, yeah, but the FD cars, the battery is behind the rear seat. And that's just weight distribution.
Which makes sense.
Just to get that out. Other than that, I mean, that's really the difference between the two cars. We run here, we're running production RTR wheels, whereas the FD cars are forged 18-inch wheels. So we're running 20s on both of these cars. These are the RTR Aero 7s. And we run the Nitto NT555 G2s, 255, 35, 20 in the front, 275, 40, 20 in the back.
Yeah, it looks like a 40.
Yeah, and so they work great. They handle everything that we throw at them. They're not, these are 320 tread wear, whereas the FD tires, I think, are 200 if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, they're a little bit different of a compound. Nitto produced the FD tires for like a mix between a drag radial and street tire. So it's not full drag radial, but it is something that you could put on the back of your Mustang or any other, you know, muscle car to have a little bit more grip for the fun. So,
all right, Vaughn, so one thing that I think would be really cool if you're comfortable sharing would be like a little bit of transparency, if you will, on the cost to operate a program like this with 2 demo cars or 2 FD cars, because like there's nothing out there that says what a program like this takes or the amount of people, time, effort, energy, resources.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, in general, I don't have the exact numbers, but I would say like running 2 of these versus 2 FD cars for like a weekend, right? If you did 3 days for 3 days, this is probably like 15 to 25% of the cost to run an FD car, right? We've got 2 mechanics here running both of these cars. At FD, we have 6 staff members for the cars. We got 1 guy only on calibration and nitrous. That's Ray. He's our technical director. He leads everyone. Every car has a lead mechanic, right? And then we've got 2 helpers per car, and then we've got a runner. So there's 6 guys, whereas this entire demo, as far as maintenance crew, is being run by 2 guys plus the runner and the tire changer, which is Rob. And so staff is one thing, right? You know, staff is cut in half for running just the cars, and then the expenses, right? These clutches will last multiple demos, whereas FD cars get changed every round. These transmissions, you don't do anything to them until, you know, they start, you know, you start feeling notchiness in the synchro. So there's just little to no maintenance on these cars, except for changing out the Pennzoil and, you know, just making sure all the fluids are topped off and brake pads. So whereas the FD cars get fully torn down every round. You know, there's 40 to 60 hours in every FD car between each round. So it's substantial. So I would say a rough guess would be, you know, 15 to 25% to run these versus, you know, the FD cars.
All right, so we got the big rig over here, which we'll go into in a second. Then we got the little rig right here.
The little guy, so Dave Sinclair hooked us up with an F-150 this week. So this is basically what we go out with for demos. Whereas like if we're running the FD car, we've got a massive, we call it the Warhorse, a massive pit box that's got spare subframe. We've got a massive toolbox that's got everything we need in it. But for the demos, these cars are so dialed, we just need tires, fuel, and a water sprayer, and some electric guns. So preloaded tires, VP X85, spray it down, tire pressure gauge in case we want a little bit more juice.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. Of course.
Are these the fancy zip ties?
Oh yeah, you know.
Yeah, can we show those off? Because you blew my mind with those.
Yeah.
What are they?
So these are like super gnarly high-end zip ties. The brand is called, it's Tie Wrap, TY-RAP. TMB, I think, is the manufacturer. But these zip ties are super strong. and you can see. Well, it's going to be hard to see
Are
in
they
your
too
camera.
strong? Do they break still? Because like like
they will.
Okay.
They'll break, but like they're not going to break as easily as like the plastic ones. So the big trick to these is there's a metal receiver. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but there's a metal receiver there, and they are just super strong.
And it's
like
got the little clicks too, right?
Yeah, super small. You can like see it how like little it is. So like super perfect finite. Some of our guys on the race team have spent quite a bit of time in Cup before they came on the RTR team. So this is where we learned about these bad boys.
Learn something new every day, boys.
Yes, you do.
All right, last but not least, we'll take a little tour of the big rig that it takes to operate this little program.
Big rig.
Look at this rig right here.
Yeah, that's Bronco RTR, which we're definitely going to get you out having some fun in. My personal Spec 5, which you drove during testing.
Yep, I like this blue.
Yeah, and this is our buddy John, one of our customers out here. He let us borrow it.
So hop up in here and...
Yeah, so this rig is all business, right? Where the FD rig has a lounge, this rig is just all business because we carry a ton of stuff, right? We got the awning, all the activation, all the tires. So I haven't been in here in a while, so we're gonna kind of be like, surprise, what's in here? So lighting, we got a big Type S jump box just in case. What else is in here? So I've had this rig since 2011. I bought this as my first demo rig. So just spares, electrical stuff.
And this rig will sometimes be on the road at the same time as FD,
Correct.
which is key, and that's one of the reasons why you need two different rigs.
Exactly. Yep. Just our, cleaning supplies, some oils. This is the magic we use, the 1060 Pennzoil in all of our race cars. It's the Pennzoil Platinum, that same stuff you can get in the AutoZone and such. Some snacks, of course, for the snacky boys.
They've always got the best snacks, by the way. Very stoked on the snacks.
We used to carry the spare engine, but since we've got these motors so dialed, they're really bulletproof. Speakers, yep, wheels.
I thought they said you didn't have any spare ones.
For your car.
Oh, yeah, I did it ooh on a wheel.
You did. In fact, we can show them.
Yeah.
Tire machine, so Coach tire machine, so everything's in-house. The compressor and generator on the front of the trailer and like its own little enclosure. Beverages, of course, plenty of spare tires. Hammocks for chilling like a villain. And then we get to
My damage.
the damage. So you got into the wall a little bit. Little kissy, your first RTR damage.
It still looks fine. I'd run it.
Yeah, you can probably grind that down and run it.
We're thinking about doing like a giveaway with this, so maybe on the next merch drop or something, one lucky person will get that.
And this is what I said when I mentioned turnbuckle earlier. So this is what you bent, and this is why you had a crazy amount of toe out.
Got it.
So this is what's adjust to bring it in and out. So
Interesting.
but that's really it. And like as far as staff, we've got Jeremy who like manages everything, keeps us on time, does all that. We've got Eric and Owen here. Owen is full-time on the FD program. Eric is my best friend, my co-driver in off-road, and he helps, comes and does demos. He's a full-time employee, but he doesn't live in Charlotte. Rob's our truck driver, and then Cody obviously doing merch. So it's a very toned-down team for demos, right? Trying to be as efficient as possible and make it as fun as possible. So.
Well, this was really cool. I know there's some like clips interspliced in this, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. And more than anything, Vaughn, I appreciate the little behind the scenes look. They wanted to see it. I saw a lot of comments that wanted to just know more about the demo cars and the FD program and the trailer and the rig and everything, and it's super interesting, and I appreciate the behind the scenes look.
Yeah, well, I hope you guys learned something, and we'll see you soon.
Feel free to keep asking questions, guys. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of stuff that comes up that may not just be super apparent to me to bring up in videos as we progress into other demos, other big events, Hyperfest, Grid Life, FD, all the fun stuff that we'll be up to this year. But it's been really cool being out here. I had a blast driving with you, and I hope we can do stuff like this again more.
It was epic, and you absolutely freaking killed it.
I appreciate it.
I'm seriously impressed.
You know what I can't wait for? The demos when we have 3 cars ripping.
Dude,
me, you, and Chelsea.
Oh my gosh, Grid Life, just wait. Hyperfest,
It's gonna be a good
stacking
time.
it in, baby. I
Oh
can't
yeah,
wait.
we're gonna be fighting over who gets the chase.
I know we are. I know.
Cool. All right, well, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. We're about to go out and do our last demo and go have some fun. See you later.
I wanted to say a great way to end the day. I wasn't planning on filming this, but I was hoping to just show the tire marks I put on your door.
Yeah, you did.
But
I don't think it's hurt.
No?
No.
So what happened was basically the exhaust fell off, the guys pulled it. The car felt a little bit weird at low RPM, and then it just started sounding like it was missing.
I think those mufflers are a little heavy for those rubber hangers.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Let's
Boom goes the dynamite.
let's look at this.
Yeah, what did you do here?
Hey, you said you've been antagonizing me this whole weekend, and like that's pretty nice.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty nice.
It
That's
is.
gracious.
That's good. That's good. Hey,
This is the end of the video,
so
so
precision, so I'm totally fine with it.
When you said